All right, so now that you understand how to solve a given equation that has one variable and a bunch of numbers with it, now we're going to talk about what do we do if we have an equation that has a bunch of variables and may or may not have numbers involved with it. We consider that solving an equation for a given variable or rearranging an equation. So instead of being solved or having one letter by itself, it has a different letter by itself. So we're going to use the same steps as solving an equation, but now, like I said, we're going to have letters instead of numbers, although there may still be numbers involved. The nice thing about solving an equation for a variable as opposed to solving to find out what number that variable is equal to, or the nice thing about rearranging an equation, is that because there's a limited or no numbers, you don't have to worry about making those mistakes with positives and negatives. So let's go ahead and just jump right into example 1. Notice that I am given this equation and I'm asked to solve for b. So I'm going to go through the same steps, and I probably should have put the steps on here. So I do apologize for that, but if you look at your notes from solving an equation, or if you remember, if you know them by now, remember step 1 is to always distribute. I don't have any parentheses, so I can skip step 1. Step 2 says to combine like terms on each side of the equation. Well, if I look at my left, no like terms. If I look at my right, no like terms. Step 3 is to get the variable only on one side. Well, in this particular situation, when we have a lot of variables, it's going to be to get the variable of interest on one side. And since I'm solving for b, I want to make sure that my b is on only one side. And notice it is. So again, I'll skip that step. I'll get rid of anything that's adding or subtracting to my variable of interest, nothing being added or subtracted to the b, so I can skip that step. And then I'll get rid of multiply or divide. Well, I have two different multiplication problems going on here, or I have the b being multiplied by two different quantities. It's being multiplied by a 1/3 and an h. Well, I know that I can divide to get rid of multiply, so I can divide by 1/3, or I can just right away say I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/1 on both sides. Doing that, my 3's cancel out over here, my 1's cancel, and I'm left with 3v equals, again those canceled, so bh. Now I have b times h. Again, I'm solving for b, therefore trying to get b alone. I can get rid of the h using division, but I have to do it to both sides. The h's cancel out here, and I get 3v over h equals b, and since my b is alone, I've successfully solved that equation. Looking at example 2, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go through my steps, and step 1 tells me to distribute. Well, this time I do have something I can distribute, so I'm going to distribute the 2 in, giving me r equals 2a minus 2s, or excuse me, minus 2c plus s. Getting ahead of myself. Now from here I ask myself if I have any like terms. Well, none of these have the same variable since I have a, c, and s. Then I ask myself, is the variable on only one side? And since the variable of interest is a, I do only have a on one side. So now I can go ahead and get rid of add or subtract. So I can get rid of a subtract 2c and an add s. I can get rid of the subtract 2c by adding a 2c to both sides. And I don't know what r plus 2c is, so I just write it as r plus 2c, because they are not like terms, equals 2a plus s, and as I said just a minute ago, I'll subtract to get rid of the s. Again, they're not like terms, so I can't combine the r, the c, or the s, so I just rewrite it in a linear fashion. And now finally, to get a by itself, I can divide by 2, since it's 2 times a, getting rid of that multiply or divide, giving me a final answer of r plus 2r minus s all over 2 equals a. And I've got a all by itself, so I've successfully solved. There are 2 more examples that we're going to look through. I would encourage you to try them on your own. Try 3. Pause the video, try 3. Play the video and see how you did. Make any corrections if you missed anything. Then you can do the same for 4. Alright, looking at 3, hopefully as I said you had a chance to pause it and try it on your own. My first step is to distribute, so I'm going to distribute the 3. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2y is 6y equals 5z, and distributing again gets rid of the parentheses. I'm solving for x. I don't have any like terms on the left. I don't have any like terms on the right. My x is on only one side, so I can get rid of add or subtract by, or I can get rid of that, excuse me, add 6y by subtracting a 6y. But I also have to do it over here. So I get 3x left on the left equals 5z subtract 6y. I cannot put them together, they're not like terms. And now I still don't have x by itself because it's being multiplied by 3. So I can divide to get rid of the multiply by 3. And I get x equals 5z minus 6y all over 3. And x is by itself, so there is my final answer. Looking at one more example, example 4, again, great one for you to pause and try on your own. All right, let's go through 4 now that you've had a chance to hopefully try it. I'm going to start with distributing, so I'm going to distribute the s, and I'm going to get s times r is sr, s times t is plus st, and I'm going to just bring down everything else. I'm trying to solve for r, so if I want to make sure, or first I'll combine like terms. I see that I do not have any like terms on the left because even though these both have an s, they have an r and a t, and those are different. Even though these both have a t, this one's squared and this one's not. So my like terms, I don't have any. Now I can go ahead and make sure my variable is only on one side. My variable of interest, which is r, is on one side. I can get rid of add or subtract, so I'll get rid of the add st. And notice that, unlike the other ones, I have some like terms, so on this side I'm left with that SR. Here, if I am negative ST and someone takes one more ST from me, I'm negative 2 ST. Or I can think of it same signs, so I add 1 ST plus 1 ST, and I keep the same sign, giving me negative 2 ST. And finally, if I'm trying to get r by itself, I can get rid of the s by division. Since it is s times r, remember if things are written right next to each other, it implies multiplication. And I get r equals t squared minus 2st all divided by s, and r is by itself. So that is my final answer. So again, using those same 5 steps we did with solving equations, nothing has changed there. We're just applying it to letters. Try not to be intimidated by the fact that the answers you get maybe don't look quite as nice as when you get an answer of 4 or an answer of negative 2, but they are truly an answer. The only thing you need to solve for a letter is to be able to get that letter by itself. So the B, the A, the X, and the R, since they are by themselves on one side of the equal sign, I have solved regardless of what the equation looks like. Please make sure you bring any questions with you to class so we can discuss them together.